Did you know that 70% of employees say they would work harder if they had more respect from their boss? Or that leaders who communicate clearly are 25% more effective in leading their teams? Respect is one of the most powerful tools in leadership, but it's often misunderstood. It's not about titles, power, or authority. It's about the way you speak, the way you act, and the way you carry yourself. In this video, we'll uncover 6 simple yet powerful phrases that instantly command respect. These phrases are not just words, they're strategies that will make you a more effective leader. Whether you're leading a small team or running a large company, mastering these phrases will help you build trust, inspire loyalty, and guide your team to success. Stick around to discover how to transform your leadership style and gain the respect you deserve. These 6 phrases could change the way you lead, forever. Chapter 1. The power of pause. Let's think about that. When you're in a leadership role, you may feel the pressure to answer quickly. But here's the thing. Taking a pause before responding shows control and confidence. Instead of rushing, try saying, "Let's think about that." The key here is to give your team the sense that you're not just reacting, you're reflecting. This creates an environment of thoughtful decision-making. Studies have shown that leaders who pause before speaking are seen as more competent and authoritative. The Harvard Business Review reports that thoughtful silence is perceived as an expression of calm leadership. It's simple. When you pause, you signal that what's being discussed matters, and you don't need to rush to have the final say. A well-timed pause also helps you avoid saying something you might regret. Often, rushing into a decision leads to poor outcomes. In fact, Forbes mentions that 75% of leaders who take time to reflect before making big decisions experience better long-term results. The power of silence isn't just about avoiding mistakes, it's about making your words count. Leaders who use pauses effectively communicate that their decisions are intentional and grounded in careful thought. When you say, "Let's think about that," you invite others into your thought process and encourage collaboration. This phrase also works wonders in tense situations. When emotions are running high, giving everyone a moment to calm down is a sign of emotional intelligence. It's an essential part of leadership that goes beyond what you say, it's how you say it. By being calm and deliberate, you show your team that you're the one in control, even when things are chaotic. Chapter 2. Empathy in action. I understand. Now let's move forward. Great leaders are not just decision makers, they're also listeners. Saying, "I understand. Now let's move forward," acknowledges the emotions or concerns of your team while keeping the focus on progress. This is a powerful way to balance empathy and action, which is critical to being a respected leader. According to Gallup's State of the American Workplace report, employees who feel their leaders care about them are 4 times more engaged. When you show empathy, you create a connection that makes people feel valued. And when people feel valued, they're more likely to respect you and follow your lead. Empathy doesn't mean agreeing with every idea or concern. It means showing that you're listening and you understand where someone is coming from. For example, when a team member brings up a problem, responding with, "I understand," shows you're paying attention. But you don't stop there. Saying, "Now let's move forward," shows that you're solution-oriented and ready to take action. This approach also fosters a growth mindset within your team. Instead of getting stuck in problems, you encourage a mindset of moving beyond them. John C. Maxwell, a renowned leadership expert, says, "People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care." When you show empathy, you're signaling that you're a leader who understands the bigger picture, not just the task at hand. And here's a little-known fact. Empathetic leaders tend to build stronger teams. According to a study by Center for Creative Leadership, leaders who show empathy improve team collaboration by 50%. This respect for others' perspectives directly translates into greater productivity and loyalty. Empathy also plays a huge role in conflict resolution. By acknowledging differing opinions and then guiding the team forward, you turn potential conflicts into opportunities for growth. This creates a culture where everyone feels heard and respected, which only strengthens your leadership position. Chapter 3. Silent authority. I'll handle that personally. Leadership doesn't always require a loud presence or constant micromanagement. Sometimes, the most powerful words are the simplest. I'll handle that personally. This phrase shows that you are taking responsibility for the situation, removing doubt, and instilling confidence in your team. When you tell your team, I'll handle that personally, you're not just relieving them of the task. You're showing that you're capable and willing to take charge when needed. The Journal of Business and Psychology found that employees are more likely to respect leaders who demonstrate accountability, as they feel their leader has both the skills and commitment to lead. This phrase also fosters trust. Leaders who take personal responsibility demonstrate that they're not afraid of challenges or failure. Instead, they're focused on finding solutions. When you say you'll handle it, your team sees that you are capable of solving problems and leading from the front. Interestingly, the Leadership Challenge by Kouzes and Posner emphasizes that leaders who embrace personal accountability inspire more loyalty. Their followers know that when things go wrong, their leader will step up instead of passing blame. This builds a culture of trust, respect, and transparency, which are the cornerstones of strong leadership. One of the biggest misconceptions about leadership is that you need to be in every meeting or oversee every decision. But in reality, saying, I'll handle that personally, shows that you trust your judgment and have the ability to manage what matters most. It's about selective involvement, where your leadership is most needed, without overburdening yourself or your team. This approach also allows you to delegate more effectively. When you take ownership of a project or task, you show that you trust your team to handle their responsibilities while you focus on the bigger picture. It's a subtle but powerful way to establish authority without appearing overbearing. Lastly, saying, I'll handle that personally, also empowers you to manage your time better. You know when to take charge and when to let your team take the lead. This balance is critical for sustaining your leadership and keeping the respect of those around you. Don't forget to subscribe for more leadership tips and strategies to improve your impact and influence. Chapter 4. The Confidence of Clarity. Here's the plan. No doubt, clear communication is one of the most essential qualities of a strong leader. When you say, here's the plan, no doubt, you're making sure your team knows exactly what's expected and what comes next. This kind of certainty is critical in gaining respect because it shows that you're organized and confident in your direction. In a study by McKinsey & Company, 70% of executives said that clear communication was the most important factor in a successful leadership strategy. Leaders who communicate with clarity don't just get things done, they create an environment where everyone knows their role and how their actions contribute to the overall mission. Clarity also builds trust. When your team understands exactly what needs to be done, they feel more confident in their own work. In fact, Gallup reports that teams with clear expectations are 25% more productive than those who don't have a strong understanding of their goals. The phrase, here's the plan, no doubt, is also an invitation for feedback. When you present your plan with certainty, it opens the door for your team to ask questions and offer suggestions. This transparency encourages collaboration, and when you act on the feedback, it builds mutual respect. Leaders who embrace clarity don't just talk, they actively listen and make adjustments when necessary. According to Daniel Goleman, author of Emotional Intelligence, this combination of confidence and flexibility is crucial for fostering strong relationships within your team. A clear plan isn't just about setting goals, it's about understanding the challenges and knowing how to address them. When you say, here's the plan, you're giving your team something concrete to work toward. This level of focus is essential for overcoming obstacles and moving forward. The most effective leaders are those who can keep things simple. Overcomplicating things or using too much jargon only creates confusion. Clear communication, like saying, here's the plan, shows that you respect your team's time and intelligence. Chapter 5. Ownership over blame. I take full responsibility. True leaders own their actions, both good and bad. When you say, I take full responsibility, you show that you're willing to stand by your decisions. This level of accountability builds tremendous respect, as it shows maturity, integrity, and the courage to face challenges head-on. The Journal of Business Ethics found that leaders who take ownership of mistakes are more respected by their teams, even when the outcome isn't favorable. People admire leaders who don't hide behind excuses but instead take responsibility for their actions and decisions. Ownership over blame doesn't mean you always have to be at fault. It means that you're willing to be the first to step up when things go wrong. This builds trust, as your team knows that you will always take the lead, even in tough times. And when leaders show this kind of responsibility, their teams tend to mirror the behavior, creating a culture of accountability. Interestingly, Brené Brown, in her book Dare to Lead, discusses the concept of vulnerability in leadership. She explains that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's a strength. When leaders admit mistakes and take responsibility, they humanize themselves, which strengthens relationships with their teams. Leaders who avoid blame or pass it off to others often undermine their authority. Research from Harvard Business Review found that teams who witnessed their leaders deflect responsibility had lower morale and less respect for their leadership. The opposite is also true. Leaders who stand up and take responsibility earn the trust of their teams. This phrase, "I take full responsibility," also signals to your team that they don't need to be afraid of making mistakes. A culture of fear stifles innovation and creativity. When you take ownership of errors, you create an environment where it's okay to fail and learn from it. Leaders who lead by example show their teams how to handle adversity. By taking responsibility, you show that accountability is a cornerstone of your leadership style. This sets a high standard for everyone around you, creating a work environment rooted in integrity. Chapter 6. Challenge the norm. Let's break the mold. In leadership, innovation is often a result of challenging the status quo. When you say, "Let's break the mold," you're not just encouraging creativity, you're inviting your team to think differently and push boundaries. This type of leadership shows that you are open to new ideas and are not afraid to take risks. According to McKinsey & Company, companies that encourage innovation and embrace change are 3 times more likely to outperform their competitors. By challenging norms and pushing boundaries, leaders inspire their teams to think beyond conventional solutions. This phrase helps you lead with a mindset that's both forward-thinking and flexible. The best leaders know that progress often comes from taking risks and challenging traditional methods. Simon Sinek, in his book Start With Why, talks about the importance of leadership that inspires innovation. He explains that leaders who encourage breaking the mold help their teams embrace the unknown and experiment with new approaches. When you say, "Let's break the mold," you're also creating a culture of collaboration. The phrase tells your team that their ideas matter and their input is valued. This helps build a dynamic environment where everyone feels empowered to contribute. This is the kind of leadership that fosters respect, because it shows that you trust your team to think for themselves. Innovation isn't just about technology or processes, it's about the way you lead. Leaders who encourage their teams to break the mold show that they are willing to evolve and adapt. This inspires others to do the same, creating a cycle of continuous improvement. Moreover, a willingness to challenge the norm can help identify new opportunities. When you encourage your team to think outside the box, you create an environment where new solutions to old problems can emerge. This approach fosters growth, both for the individual and the organization. Finally, leaders who challenge norms often inspire loyalty. According to Gallup, employees who feel their leaders encourage change and innovation are more likely to stay with the company. This is because they see their leaders as forward-thinking and invested in their long-term success. Remember to subscribe for more leadership insights and strategies to unlock your full potential as a leader.